Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for a Cavs of the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, Cavs Insider, national NBA writer Sam Amico of AmicoHoops.net. Sam, the season is here. How was your summer?
It was busy until, that last few weeks before when football season starts and basketball players and execs and coaches all go on vacation. That was a nice little break for me. So it was great.
Good. A break to move to a new house, a break to finish your book. And now all of a sudden you're rubbing shoulders with Woj at Cavs practice. So it's nice the season is back in session. Hey, we're going to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about Media Day, talk about Coach Beilein's camp, talk about a couple of players, and then do one of our favorite segments here, Overreactions or On Point. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds great. So Media Day was last week. They got to introduce, there's all sorts of pictures, Darius Garland's playing around with Kevin Porter Jr. Dylan Windler seemed to be a little left out because it was Darius, Kevin, and Colin Sexton a lot in these pictures. But it was good to see Caleb, good to see Tristan Thompson kind of taking this mantle seriously as veterans and presence. What was your takeaway from Media Day?
Well, everybody's this is a time of year for optimism. This first couple of weeks here in the first week of camp and the preseason. So it's always pretty relaxed now. At least as much as everybody loves having LeBron on the team and the winning that comes with it, it's a little more stressful because there's just more pressure on you. And you could tell this is a team that clearly feels like, hey, we got nothing to lose. They 19-63 last season, and nobody's expecting anything of us. So let's just go out, have some fun, and see where that takes us. So I think it was relaxed generally. Obviously, the crowd was even smaller in terms of media than it was last year. And on the bright side, it does give you more of an opportunity as a media member and a basketball reporter a chance to talk to players one-on-one. They're more open to it. You just don't have as much media, so it makes it easier. And yeah, I love it like this personally. You'd like to see the Cavs win some more games and all that, but as far as reporting on the team, it's much easier, much more enjoyable because you have better access and everybody else the players and coaches and everybody are relaxed.
So, Sam, I've gotten to know you the past couple of years. You're really observant. And I think days like Media Day, you really start to see some of these alpha personalities emerge, especially from some of these young guys. Was there like an alpha leader that was just like, oh, they are the guy? Was that evident at Media Day?
Well, yeah, Kevin Love is, and Kevin Love is a leader, but he's kind of like everybody's friend leader, an encourager. You know what I mean? He creates a positive vibe around him, and he's their best player. So usually that's how you have that alpha personality. And Tristan Thompson has that kind of personality, positive, uplifting. The difference between Kevin Love and Tristan is Tristan will give you a kick in the pants if you need one, and kind of come down on you. Not in a nasty way, but in a firm way and in a leadership way, whereas Kevin's probably not going to do that as much in terms of the tough talk. He's the good cop. I wouldn't say Tristan's the bad, but he will be willing to play that role a little bit more. So those two clearly, two guys that have won a championship and can kind of, because of that, Kevin Love's been an all-star. The younger guys are just naturally going to look up to them. So, it's pretty evident who who is the leader, who are the leaders on the floor. And Colin Sexton as well talked confidently and carried himself very confidently. So I think that the leadership there is very clearly in place.
Good. Let's move to new head coach John Beilein. I want to talk more about Kevin Love and Tristan and Chetty later. It seems Coach Beilein's already made his mark on this Cavs team. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he's put, he's very different than what we've seen in the NBA, certainly in Cleveland. And he's an older guy. He's, 66 years old. He never coached in the league. So that's a rare type of thing. But, I talked to another team executive who kind of compared him in that sense, kind of like even though Hubie Brown was a longtime coach, going way back, Dr. Jack Ramsey, kind of that teaching in the pros type of guy. And I talked to Coach Beilein a couple times already, talked to him one-on-one, asked him a question at practice about, how is the transition going? And he's given some great answers and some great responses. And and you can tell the team likes him. They like the fact that this is different, that he's a different, not only personality for the NBA, but that he's also running stuff that they don't, everybody in the NBA runs this high pick and roll. He's got nothing. He's bringing in, it's almost like high school basketball camp, the practices where they're going through these different sessions, ball handling session, shooting, but offensively, they're running stuff that he ran in college for 36 years, the high handoffs, the outside shooting, that's a priority.
Which newsflash, that's the NBA.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's the Golden State Warriors. It's almost that same offense that the Warriors have been running for so long. So Kevin Love basically said it, what they feel, and it's a breath of fresh air. And Kevin Love said, I don't mean that as a slight toward my other coaches, because I've had other great coaches, but he really is. He's different. He's new. He's keeping things new. And it's really kind of reinvigorated some of the players. They seem to really enjoy having him around. Now, I can tell you he's not a pushover.
No.
He stood in the huddle at the end of practice and very basketball campish said, hey, when the players are gathered around him at the end of practice in the huddle to kind of finalize practice, he said, hey, you got, when coach is talking, everyone else shuts up. Yeah. So, and they did, the players do. And, I can tell just talking to the players, Brandon Knight, Kevin Love, John Henson, these other guys that I've talked to, they love him. Love having him around, love his style, love his approach.
Well, here's what I think Coach Beilein has going for him. Everywhere he's been, he's had success. West Virginia, Michigan, and I forget where he was before that.
Canisius and Richmond. That's right. They all had success. Yes.
Yeah. And so I think the fact that he's a little older is going to help some of these veteran players give him that respect. Secondly, he has a system and a formula. And I think the bronze shadow loomed so large over this organization. Even last year, it was a very similar, kind of offense. It was just the bronze shadow was still there, even with the coaching staff.
Yes.
And so I think this is so new. This is so fresh. And he has this vision. He knows how to execute it. And it fits well with the NBA. It really does. Spreading the floor, spacing, corner threes, all that. It's just it is a perfect fit. And they might have gotten one of the best college coaches who understands this in and out and all of college basketball, to be honest.
Oh, well, yeah. His track record shows that. His track record in the NCAA tournament. I actually like you had mentioned, I talked to Woj at practice, who was there to talk to Coach Beilein, but and Woj told me that he talked to Karis LeVert from the Nets,
Yeah.
and who played for Beilein at Michigan, and Woj said, you think this is going to work? He'll work in the NBA, and Karis LeVert said, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. It's going to take a little bit of time, but he said, I have no doubt that if they get him the right kind of players, not superstars, but the right kind of players, he's going to have success because his system is good and his players listen to him and respond. So he got a ringing endorsement from one of his former players in Karis LeVert.
And you look at the Cavs roster, and Sam, I think he has some of his prototype players already on the Cavs. Can you think of a more John Beilein player than Kevin Love?
No, he kind of said that. He mentioned that Kevin Love is that kind of that stretch four that they've always had at Michigan. Those big guys who can not only rebound but hit threes, and
he was made in a lab for John Beilein's system. Kevin Love, there's not a better
right.
I mean, it's Kevin Love. If you're John Beilein, you want Kevin Love on your team.
Yes, and as your best player, So he's a great fit. I think watching Garland, who hasn't gone through a full practice, he's had a little foot thing that's not been the least bit, any worrisome. They just start being overprotective. But he's been going through shooting drills, and the kid is just so smooth.
So smooth.
You talk to other players about him, and they say he is smooth. He's beyond his years. I can't remember who said it. It was I think Jordan Clarkson. No, Larry Nance Jr. actually said, "I can't believe he threw a couple of passes when we were playing full court." I just thought, man, I never knew he could pass like that. So I think he's going to be a real good fit in that system too. Once he learns the NBA game a little bit. So, there's a lot to like about John Beilein. It's going to be tough, I think, a little bit because look, the Cavs lost 63 games last year. He lost 7 at Michigan. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to for him and for the team, I think.
Yeah, we drafted Darius Garland 5 in the draft in the spring. How is Lindsey Gottlieb doing here the first couple practices with the Cavs?
So, man, she's like Beilein in the sense that these are basketball lifers. They're not. They truly are. Honestly, Chase, I've been covering the team full time since 2007. Okay,
come on.
And now,
come on, baby, let's go. Bring it. I can't wait to
hear
it.
And I go in practice now, and there's just a different vibe than I've ever had before. And Lindsey and Beilein and even JB Bickerstaff, who's an NBA guy, but you spend 3 or 4 minutes talking to them, and you feel like lacing up the sneakers.
Let's go. Let's lace them up, Sam. Let's lace them up, me and you.
Right. And I've never, ever felt it's just been kind of, don't get me wrong, they've had some good coaches. I like Ty Lue. I like Mike Brown. Those guys are basketball guys. But I've always felt like when I was talking to them, and this isn't a shot at them by any stretch, it's just not better or worse, just different. Before, I felt like I was interviewing an NBA coach. Now, I feel like I'm talking to my favorite uncle and aunt, and who want to go shoot baskets. It's really a different feel, and it's a really cool feel that I haven't experienced in all my time covering the NBA. Before, I don't feel like I'm covering the NBA. I feel like I'm covering college basketball with NBA level players at practice. So it's been really neat, and I feel as a reporter reinvigorated by just being around the coaching staff. I really do. So I can only imagine how the players.
I think the Beilein hire did come out of nowhere, but I was super excited about it. And then seeing that we got Coach Gottlieb as well, like it was just, I don't know if there, again, could be a better staff for the Cavs in this young team with the direction they're going. Sam, who are some players that have really stood out the first couple of days of Camp Beilein?
Well, I think Love obviously has stood out. The usual suspects, Sexton. Brandon Knight has played very well, dating back to a few weeks ago when they were, Kevin Love organized this team get-together bonding thing where they go to dinner and hang out and then play 5-on-5 and scrimmage and stuff like that. And Brandon Knight stood out there, and he's looked really good. And he said at practice, this is the first time in 2 years where he feels like himself physically, because he had that major knee issue. He lost some explosiveness coming back from that, but he said now he feels like himself. So that really, if that continues to be the case, really throws some interesting dynamic into a backcourt that's basically supposed to be Sexton and Garland. Is now you have Brandon Knight playing particularly well. So that's been interesting. And John Henson, another guy who's kind of people forgot about him in that Matthew Dellavedova trade because he was out with his wrist following wrist surgery in November last year. He has also stood out and made a difference, particularly defensively in the scrimmages, blocking shots, altering shots. And another guy who's very positive, upbeat, high-energy guy, Kevin Love said, I think John Henson's going to be a fan favorite because of the way he plays and the positive attitude he has. He's just a fun-loving guy. Yeah. And I agree with that assessment that Henson will become a fan favorite quickly.
I went to Coach Roy Williams basketball coaching camp at North Carolina when I was a coach down there. And so the camp took place during one of the practices, and John Henson is when he was at UNC. And I had never seen a more longer, taller man on earth than John Henson. That man is just like a tree. Yeah. Like the walking trees in Lord of the Rings, the Ents.
Yeah.
I just felt like I'm not a tall guy anyway, but I just felt like he was just, oh my gosh. And Brandon Knight, it's never a question of if he can play. 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year, 2-time Mr. Florida basketball, played at Kentucky for a year, drafted by the Pistons, just plagued by injuries and just, maybe wrong team, wrong time. You know what I mean? If they get anything out of him, Sam, what a bonus, right? I mean, they did not expect him to contribute.
Yeah, they're not expecting him to play a big role. Weren't coming into the season, but I think now they're rethinking that just based on the first few days of camp. And one thing Coach Beilein said is it's kind of wide open in terms of what we're going to do and who we're going to play and how much they're going to play. Obviously, you're still early, but he said Coach Beilein came in with an open mind and giving this is a chance for guys like Brandon Knight and Henson, who were really kind of forgotten men in all of this, to say, you know what, I'm going to play and I'm going to be a part of this. So, yeah, more power to them. And I agree with you on John Henson. Look, I like I said, I've been doing this for 12 years full time. I'm around 7-footers, 6'11" guys all the time. It doesn't surprise me to see him. But John Henson, I looked at and I was like, man, he's 6'11" and all arms and legs. And yes. He's a different kind of 6'11". You just look at him and you think that guy's going to block shots.
Yeah.
So. It's a good opportunity for those two guys in particular to make a difference, step in and show that they can make a difference.
All right, we are back with Overreactions and On Point, one of our favorite segments here at Cavs on the Break. Sam, here's how this works. I'm going to give you 5 statements. You tell me if that's an overreaction or if that's on point, pretty much what's going to happen. Sound fair?
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. First one, Kevin Love will be the comeback player of the year. Overreaction or on point?
I'm going to say on point. I'm going to go on a limb and say on point because he did play in 14, 19 games or something last year. So, if he stays healthy and played like he did last year when he was healthy, he will have an excellent shot at that award.
I agree. And maybe it's contingent on this phrase. The Cavs will make the playoffs. Overreactions are on point.
Oh man, I think it's an overreaction, but I think that they have an opportunity. Put it this way, and this is what I've been saying all along. Not to go too long on this point, Chase, but I've been saying this all along. If they want to not be bad, they have a shot at it.
Yeah.
Now, by that, what I'm saying is, if they decide, we're young, we're going to just do nothing but develop, and we're going to, kind of play for another lottery pick, which they very well could do, but you run the risk, again, if you do that, the lottery has changed so dynamically that you run the risk of ending up drafting like 7th or 8th anyway. But I think if they want to be good and they have good health and they respond positively to John Beilein and they're playing, veterans are playing. Kevin Love has a great year. Tristan Thompson has a good year. John Henson, Brandon Knight, Colin Sexton. If those guys have good years, Jetty, can't forget Jetty. He's got to have a better season. Then they could be a surprise team. Absolutely. The East is so wide open as usual. Sure. But at this point, I think that they'll be better. I don't think they're going to be a 19 win. I think that they have a shot in the 30 range. And I think that's realistic and would be a satisfying season. I think what they want to do more than anything now is compete and build a positive mindset and move forward with Sexton and Garland and some of these younger guys and use this as a building year to teach them how to win. It's no good. It never works to teach players to lose and be around losing a lot. It's terrible for the culture and it's terrible for moving forward. But to say we're going to be the best that we can be, it really builds up the environment and the players and the culture, regardless of whether or not you win. If you try to win and don't win, it's still okay usually.
So how many?
No playoffs.
How many wins do the Cavs need for Kevin Love to maybe really get comeback player of the year?
Yeah, I think that they'll need to compete really for a playoff. He'll need to have a great season.
Yeah.
It's hard to make the all-star team on, when you're on a losing team because there's so many guys who are, very close on the brink of an all-star game. So usually the coaching staff that picks the reserves will pick, generally will pick players that are on teams that are playoff competitive. But I think if they win in the 33 to 40 range, which, people call me nuts, but if they do that, yeah, he'll have an excellent shot at that.
Sam, do you know what the Cavs over-under win total is that just opened?
I do not.
You want to guess? This is fun. I'm pumped you don't know.
27.
Lower. Do you want to guess again or me tell you?
It's lower than 27?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got?
24.5.
24.5.
Some have 23.5, but it's majority 24.5.
Wow.
Not
look.
Good outlook for first year college coach. What?
Yeah. I just said that's 5 more wins than they had last year, I guess, 5.5. But
yeah.
I honestly, look, it's hard to get a gauge for what they're going to do after 3 or 4 days of practice. They don't have the depth where they can't afford another big injury to Kevin Love or Tristan or any of that stuff. So, everything's going to have to go perfectly for them. And they're really going to have to want it. Kobe Altman in the front office is going to have to say, yeah, we're okay with winning and we want to win and we can make the best of the draft picks we get. And even if they do say that, they're going to have to have everything go right, and have this all come together. So, generally that doesn't happen, but you look at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, I should say not the bottom, but the bottom of the playoff race in the East, like with Orlando and Detroit, those teams,
Yeah,
you're
Wizards,
not talking about,
Knicks.
right. You're not talking about overcoming the 1986 Celtics here. I mean, you do things the right way. You get into the playoffs, and what's it mean? Well, it means your young guys got a taste of the type of experience that they're going to need to get good. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different dynamics. Could they be bad again? Yes, absolutely, they sure could. But I think that it's really wide open, and it's hard to tell exactly where they're going to go after 3 or 4 days of camp.
Well, here's what I'll say. I believe in Beilein. I believe in Colin Sexton. I thought he ended the year like fantastically last year. I think he really kind of figured it out. I look at their draft this season. It didn't seem like a draft of them trying to tank this year, Sam. They traded up for Kevin Porter Jr. And I don't see – at some point you have to play your assets, right? I mean, look at the Celtics. They almost overplayed their hand, and now they don't have anyone. And
right.
So I'm looking at what they have, and I don't know if – like, why would they tank again? And so I would take the over. I could see them maybe around 32, 33. Just to be frisky. I honestly, I think the draft was we're not going to tank draft. I think this is their core because of Sexton's development at the end of the season. I mean, he played phenomenal, Sam. I mean, he really worked himself into a top 3, 4 rookie of the year conversation. If it hadn't been for Luka or Trey having transcendent years, I think he really would have been in the conversation. Just how he ended the year. I think Darius Garland is a baller. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be maybe one of the best late round picks since since Danny Green, maybe. I know not Danny Green. Who's the guy from second round pick from the?
There's been a few of them. Draymond Green's been was a second
Thank you.
round pick. Yeah.
That was a good thing that I've forgotten his name. I mean, I'm not going to apologize for that.
I think most Cavs fans will forgive you. Yeah.
But I'm looking. I mean, would you say this is an off season of tank moves?
No, and I agree with you. The reason they got 3 first-round picks, which in reality is like getting one next year as well in Kevin Porter Jr. They have guys that they're ready to develop. They don't want to go too far in the other direction where they're losing fans because they keep stinking, and that's a bad road to go down because it's bad for business. Now the diehards, and I empathize, or I understand where the diehards are coming from when they say, no, you got to keep tanking and keep getting good draft picks. I can understand that, but you also have to remember that this is a business, and it would be like me saying with my website, well, I'm going to suck for a little while. Some people will say that I do anyway, but I'm going to be bad for a little while because I know in 2 or 3 years, it'll be good, and I'll lose money, and it won't be that big of a deal. And that's a crazy way to think. It's hey, look, maybe this year we'll lose money because I'm hiring all these writers or whatever. And, the point is that the NBA is a business, and this team and an organization and a franchise can't afford to keep losing money. Most fans, casual fans, want to know one thing: did the Cavs win last night? Yeah. And if the answer is no, they're going to lose interest. That's just the way fandom works, and understandably so. So, they understand that, and they don't want to keep putting a product on the floor that isn't successful or looking like it has a good shot at being successful, because it impacts everything you do. It impacts players' ability to get free agents. It impacts, people say, well, free agents aren't going to want to come to Cleveland because they don't win. Baloney. Look at the San Antonio Spurs. A lot of free agents have always been dying to go there. The Spurs aren't a big free agent organization. They do everything through the draft and running their thing well. But a small market can succeed by doing things the right way, and it's not to continuously tank over and over and over again, because we've seen so many of those teams that do that. For instance, the Sacramento Kings, who are, they're a nice, young, dynamic team, but it's taking them forever to get back into the playoffs. And so So there's a time for tanking and a time for not, and I think that the Cavs are to the point now where it's like, look, we really tanked last year, and now we've got to build and try to win and create a good environment, not only for our players but for our fans.
You know, I say that they've made moves to not tank, but on the flip side of that, they're releasing the classic edition jerseys. They're going to play in those. So kind of like, hey, if we're not good, look at these pretty jerseys. They just finished Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And so, like, on the other hand, they're like, if this is bad, hey, at least we look pretty and the Fieldhouse is nice, right? I mean, so there's two sides of this conversation.
Right. Well, most teams that are successful have at least one real big superstar, and you know, usually like the Lakers and the Clippers and the teams that are in contention, right, are going to be teams with two huge superstars. Everybody else hopes to have one, and if you can't get that, then you want at least maybe one borderline all-star, and that's what the Cavs have in Kevin Love. And look, the Pistons have that in Blake Griffin. You know, I mean, most teams are where the Cavs are, so you hope to do it as a team. And when you are in the Cavs situation going into the year with one borderline all-star, it's a great unknown. I would say, too, Colin Sexton, if he continues to play like he did last year, would be a borderline all-star. So, but it's still an unknown. It's a huge unknown. So they're prepared for that and hoping for the best, really, you know.
Yep. Really quick, we got three more here. We were talking about rookies. Overreaction or on point, Sam? Darius Garland will be the rookie of the year.
Probably overreaction because I think that's probably going to go to Zion Williamson, and it wouldn't be a shot at Garland if he didn't win. So I think Garland will be, if he can, you know, stay on the floor, which he's not been able to do so far at Vanderbilt, and then in practice. But I think he will be a dynamic player. I really do, for years to come, because he has an NBA game, NBA skills for a guy his size.
All right, this one I had fun typing, and reading it is going to be fun. This is ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous one I've ever said, Sam. Jordan Clarkson will average more assists than made field goals per game this season.
It was fun to type and fun to talk about, but yeah, overreaction. Look, they like, Beilein loves Jordan Clarkson. Already that's been made clear. And he loves the fact that he only goes one speed, which is full speed all the time. And he talked about playing Jordan Clarkson at times at small forward. And he loves the fact that he's talking about a lineup with potentially with Sexton and Garland and Jordan Clarkson on the floor makes me think that they're going to be playing some zone, which would not be.
He's known for a 1-3-1. I mean, that's his thing,
right.
1-3-1 zone.
Right. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to play some zone and play these smaller guys from time to time, all on the floor together. So
it would surprise me to see
Jordan will not average more assists than probably you or me. So let's keep that in perspective.
You know what? I think more than a zone, it would surprise me to see Jordan Clarkson actually playing defense of any type.
He's not your favorite Cav, is he?
No. I think he gets a bad rap. I just wish he would look to pass more than he's just like a black hole when he gets the ball. It's just everything stops. It's not he's shooting. And
you have to learn to use players like that, and
hopefully Beilein can do that. And I'm sure Jordan listens to the pod. So Jordan, it's nothing personal, brother.
Yeah. That's right.
Maybe he and Tristan are going to be talking about.
Practice. Yeah.
He and Thompson are going to be talking about the podcast tomorrow. I was like, man, did you hear what that stupid guy Chase said?
Yeah, right. Remember, it was Chase. Amico's all for you.
Yeah. All right, last one. By the end of the year, the Cavs' first 3 first-round picks will start.
All 3 of them?
Yeah.
No, only because I think Porter and Windler, they have a little bit of a learning curve ahead of them, but I think they're both going to be fine NBA players. And Porter to me is a guy who's gonna he'd have to replace either Jetty or Garland or Sexton. So I don't think that you'd want him to start. But unless he really is really, really good. But no, I think Garland will start, and I think Windler will give Chetty a run for his money if Windler gets healthy and doesn't get too far behind because he's got that leg injury. But no, they won't all be starting by the end of the year, or if they are, I don't think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, well, that does it for the greatest segment of all time, Overreactions are on point, and there's no overreaction about that. Sam, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. That does it for Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back. Follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops. Get all of his work and his writings at amicohoops.net. Breaking news, insider info. Don't miss out. Sam, what else can you promote here? Your book?
I think that's it. The book comes out a week. The trivia book, 600 NBA and college basketball trivia questions. We have all kinds of stuff, and the old ABA from the 70s.
Wonderful.
It comes out a week from Tuesday, which is October 8th. But that's like 5 days away, I guess.
Yeah, man.
At least at this recording. So, October 8th, Tuesday, October 8th, it goes on to bookshelves all over the country, and obviously on Kindle. And I hope that everybody who listens and who isn't listening will go out and buy it immediately and help to put food on my table.
I have a copy coming.
And
I can't wait to
enjoy the book.
Yeah. Can they find the link on your website?
I'm a link to my book.
Yeah.
No, you cannot find it on the website, but I will certainly put it up there now that you brought it up. I'll have it up there by tomorrow morning.
More work for you.
You can find it on Amazon. You can pre-order it right now on Amazon, and you will have it probably by the 8th, 9th, or 10th of this month.
Wonderful. Sam, any other final thoughts, brother?
I just very much look forward to continuing the podcast weekly throughout the season, and it's going to be fun, and we'll have a lot to talk about, and I very much look forward to it and interacting with the readers and listeners once again.
Yep. One of my favorite sign-offs of all podcasts. Mike Breen, I've missed you. Take us out!
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.